Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some glimmer hot foiling with brand new Simon Says stamp Yay You release hot foil plates with coordinating dies. There's a bunch of new sets and they're so awesome, you guys. And I thought it would be really fun to share one of my all-time favorite techniques with foiled images, and that is coloring them in with Copics. The foiled line not almost, it resists the ink, and so you end up with really beautiful results. I just took a quick peek at all of the hot foil plates we're going to be using on our cards today. This first one is called the Sketched Leafy Wreath. Now, I think this could be used all the time. Imagine even maybe deepening and darkening the colors to maybe more pine colored leaves of some sort, or just something deeper and darker, adding a beautiful red bow, maybe some red pearl gemstones, and this could be a Christmas wreath just like that. So definitely think outside the box. I know we're headed into summer here in the US, and so I really kind of went more the direction of bright, happy, summery, sunshiny flowers. It feels like winter went on forever, but I did want to throw that out there, that definitely think outside the box, because I think as a Christmas wreath, this would be really, really pretty. I love kind of non-traditional wreaths like that. So once my wreath is heated up, I'm going to move the Glimmer hot foil system platform over to my Spellbinders Platinum machine, run it through, and peel away the foil. Now I am using the Aura hot foil today, which it's a little less, I hate to say harsh, but kind of harsh as gold. I love gold. I use it all the time. So I was like, let's use something different, but it's still going to be the most versatile. And so I went with that and I love it. You will notice that I'm going to save all of my foil sheets till the end. This next one is the Intricate Floral Background. Talk about gorgeous. It is gorgeous just like this. You can also color it in. You can ink blend over it. Really, really beautiful. The other thing I want to mention about my foiling today is that I am using Hammermill cardstock for all of my foiling. If you want consistent, beautiful results, I highly, highly recommend the Hammermill cardstock, and that is linked in the description below. Because the next two are a little bit on the smaller side, I can fit both of them on the platform at once. This is the Sketched Anemone, I think I said that right, and the Peony Blossom. I'm going to peel that away. We are going to foil the flower with the leaves again, because I wanted plenty of leaves for my cards today. I'm definitely doing assembly line style. As I started, I had no idea how my cards would even turn out. I literally just foiled a bunch of stuff, started coloring, and about the time I started coloring, I kind of came up with a direction. Lastly, we're going to foil the danced butterflies, and then of course the flower with leaves again, so that I can get more leaves, as I mentioned. And then the magic. We're going to take a hot foil plate. I am going to be using the PinkFresh Studio Solid Hot Foil Plate, and we are going to make the most of all of our leftover foil. My favorite thing to do is, while I have my machine out, while everything is still sitting here, go ahead and foil these right away. Die cut everything while you're die cutting the outline images. Die cut the solid glimmered images, because that way you already have them. I have little trays filled with extra foiled pieces from PinkFresh Studio, Waffle Flower, Simon Says stamp, and I can use those on cards. I reach for them again and again. So as I'm heating up now the leftover foil, the negative space foil, I'm going to be running the other images through my die cutting machine. I try to make the most of my time, so while one thing heats up, I die cut the other. If it sits on there a few minutes after that solid green lights come up, the more the better. If it can heat up a little bit extra, that's probably not a bad thing. And then I'm just going to stack all of my die cut pieces together while I continue to die cut, or to foil, pardon me. So now we're going to run those solid pieces through. I think this was the wreath, if I'm not mistaken. Pop my platform back in place. And then usually the Spellbinders Tool-in-One is a great way to just kind of lift up that extra foil. And when I peel it away, look at that. Hardly any waste, you guys. We have a beautiful solid wreath that can be used on a card. Now I'm going to end up with quite a few extra pieces. Not as many as I thought I would, but definitely a few extra pieces today. So not everything will be made into a card. I can save them for cards down the road. But while I have everything here, I just find it easiest to just go ahead and do all the foiling. That way I don't have to try to save these leftover foil pieces. I find it easier to save the die cut pieces. And these butterflies are beautiful. I love this foil. It is so, so pretty. And then I think my last one is my intricate floral background. This one is going to get used, so I'm super glad that I went ahead and foiled that. Really pretty, and I think it looks really pretty with some of the other foiled pieces. And peeling that away, look at that. It's okay that it's not perfect. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that here in just a minute. So I am actually going to take some of the Simon Says Stamp Basic Rectangles dies and use them to die cut my background. So I'm going to die cut this foiled background with the negative space plus the other background with the outline image. Now I did die cut the outline image with the larger size, or the A2 size rectangle first, but I didn't really think I die cut it very straight or very well. So I'm actually going to size down to that size I used for the negative space background and die cut that again. Don't be afraid to, die cut it again if you need to. I did not want to waste it. I did not want to get my foil machine back out and foil it again. And so I simply am just going to trim that down with another die. Once we have our foiling done, our die cutting done, it is time to color. Now I did speed up the video a bit today because there is a lot of coloring. We are making 4 cards. And I don't want to sit here all day long coloring. I do have all the marker colors listed in the description box underneath the video here on YouTube, as well as over on my blog. You can see I'm using some red violet colors for this really beautiful sketched peony blossom. I went in with the light color first, not super precise coloring per se, kind of messy. And then we're going to go in with RB29, and that's going to be quite a bit darker, mostly following the foil lines. And then from there, we're going to pull out with RB25, which is a beautiful fuchsia pink. Now, some of these flicking or feathering brush strokes are a little harsh. So I'm going to go back with RB21 and soften those just a bit. And the more we add to the rest of the petals, the better this is going to look. This is a big design, as you can see here on camera, but it is going to give us an absolutely gorgeous card. We're just going to continue going all the way around until we get the entire thing colored. So these are the 3 colors that I am using for this peony blossom. I worked in small areas instead of, I did the all over light color for the entire flower, but then I worked more on individual petals so that I kind of didn't lose my place or kind of lose that momentum, I guess, if you will. Especially with something big like this. For smaller flowers, I may just go through and do all the light, all the dark, all the medium or mid-tone. But for this, I felt like it just gave me a little more control to just do a few at a time and work my way around, kind of spinning my flower to work on the rest of this area. You can definitely see how beautiful it's starting to look. The more color that gets added, really, really happy with the finished result here. Now, once we have our flower, I am going to take the leaves and we're going to color those. I actually got red marker right in the palm of my hand. It looks kind of like blood. I promise it's not. I missed getting the cap on my marker and got the middle of my palm instead. We're going to use G02, 9, and G28 for our greenery today. Same as my flower with a lot of that flickering or feathering type motion and not so much blending out. Now I think we need a butterfly sitting on this beautiful big flower. These butterflies are gorgeous. We are going to be using some BG colors. I think it's BG, I want to say 11, 15, and 19 maybe. Nope. It was 11, 13, and I don't know, 45. The colors, or the exact color, is going to be linked down below. Just add all that shading. I did blend out this a little bit more. And let's move on to our wreath. So same color combination as the individual leaves. We're going to go around the entire wreath with G02, then G9, and G28. I am going to work in small sections again, much like the large flower, to add all of that color. Now, if you want to add color to these images a little bit quicker and save some time, maybe you don't want to color. This video is foiling and Copics, but I do want to throw this idea out there. You can ink blend over the top of this with your favorite inks and things, and I think that would be beautiful as well. It's going to give you a little bit different look, but it's definitely something to consider. As I add the shading to all of the individual leaves, it is starting to really look pretty. I love it. Imagine just popping some red berries. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and also for a fall wreath, imagine coloring all of these in shades of yellows, oranges, reds, and browns. Oh my goodness, I think this would be a really beautiful fall wreath as well. And again, a little base of G02 for about the other half of the wreath, it looks like. Go in with G28 and then G09. And that is our mid-tone color. So I usually go light, dark, medium when I'm doing this feathering motion. So pretty. For this butterfly, we're going to go back with our pink colors we used for the peony with RV 21, 25, and 29. So pretty. I wanted a really bright butterfly. Add some darker little areas here and there. So next we're going to do the all over intricate floral background, and this by far took the most time, simply the nature of coloring in so many images. Yes, it was a lot of coloring, but I definitely think it's worth it. We're going to keep our embellishment and sentiments to a minimum and really let the background shine on this particular card. I personally love an all over colored background. And with foiling, it just makes it so easy. So I'm going to be using, or starting out using, a lot of the same color combinations you've already seen. We will be pulling in some yellow, oranges, lavender, and red, and a dark blue to balance out the design and make it super, super colorful. My goal here was just to kind of have all the colors represented in some way. I tried to go in and do all of the leaves first, but with anything like this, I think it's hard to catch it all with your first pass. So there will be some areas where you're going to go, oh, Nicole, you missed some leaves, and I will definitely grab those on the way back. I did try to color like any flowers that were similar, the same color, to just keep it pretty consistent. It kind of helped balance it out, as well as most flowers aren't right, at least the big ones aren't right next to each other. There's tons and tons of those little ones, and I'll kind of show you how I approach that as we get there. I did do some yellows to make these look kind of like little daisies or sunflowers, whatever you want to call them. I did do brown centers, kind of maybe more sunflowery. And then the large flowers are going to be our bright pink color combination again. And that is the same as our peony. Odin is thrilled with this video I'm filming and is snoring. So if you hear snoring in the background, it is my dog. He finds my commentary riveting. After I blend this out, I am going to just set that there. I know it's not blended great. I don't want to oversaturate the cardstock. I was afraid that it might bleed outside the line. And so I'll come back to it in a minute and go back in with my light color and kind of try to fix some of those lines that didn't turn out super great. After that, we're going to do some little aqua flowers. I had my aqua markers already out, and so I felt like that would be a good one to do next. I think I did about 4 of these, and I forgot one small one, which I will do later on as I start filling in the rest of this design. Definitely a little bit more time consuming, but as I mentioned, worth it. If you like that kind of thing. If you do not, definitely consider ink blending over it. Oh my goodness, I think that would be so, so beautiful. There's just a lot of different ways you can use this. If you want to foil on colored cardstock, that would be beautiful. You could foil this in so many different colors. You could foil it with rainbow foil so that the outlines all have a little bit of that rainbow to it. And then when you use the reverse, you'd have a lot of rainbow for your background. I could just see using this in so many ways. I think you guys are really going to love that floral plate. I am going to pull in some purples. And there's a lot of little purple flowers. So I chose to do the flowers kind of this shape with my purple. And I'm going through, and to make it easy, what I did for the smallest ones is I kind of made a cross, or an X shape in the center of those flowers with my dark. And then I'm going to just go in and shade it with the light. This was a very quick and easy way to kind of get that shading for such small flower images. And again, just going to go all the way around my panel. It's starting to come together. It's starting to look a little fuller, a little more colorful. And those little flowers are all flowers that didn't have a little foiled dot in the center. That's kind of how I differentiated between those and the other small flowers, which I'm going to color with blue. I always love a pop of red, so we have about 3 pops of red on the card. I accidentally got in the center, but I think that flower gets covered up anyway, so it's probably all right. The red just instantly starts balancing this all out. Did have to take a little mini break to add or refill my R35 Copic marker. It was a little dry as I'm trying to color in this flower down here. I was getting a little frustrated, so we did a quick little marker surgery. We refilled her, and then we're going to color in our flowers. I did that off camera. The little yellow flower centers here. Orange, not a ton of orange, but I wanted little hints of it here and there. YR04 and 09. I found some leaves I forgot along the side. That's always good. I told you I would forget some. I think I forgot like a little purple flower too that I end up having to color in sometime around here. There's always something. Then there's these little flowers up here I'm going to do with red and pink. So kind of the same color as those large pink flowers, but I'm not using the lightest color for these. I only used my mid-tone and darkest, RV 25 and 29. Blues, same thing as the lavender, where I did a little cross or a little X in the center, and then I blended it out with a lighter color. I forgot a little purple, so there I colored it in. I knew I forgot one somewhere along the way. Almost full. That one little flower up there that I forgot, I'm going to do an aqua to match the bigger ones. I felt like it was kind of the same style. And then I've got some little flowers along the edge. I think we'll do those in some yellow. I literally just picked another color that maybe wasn't represented a ton and used it for my remaining flowers. And once we have that, I think we're almost done. We've got a couple more flowers to color. So for this one, since I foiled this particular hot foil plate more than once, I'm going to go ahead and add our color. So we're going to go with our pinks, and then I'm also going to do a more purpley tone. This is the more purpley tone. And it's RV 55, oh, I can't even, and 66 and 69, I believe. I will have those exactly listed down below. But I am speeding through the coloring now. I also have a few leaves left. I believe I do those off camera. Oh, and I have some extra butterflies too. Doing dark grays for the center to really make those showy. Back to my pinks. Pinks got a workout today. RV 29 and then RV 25. Once we have all of our flowers colored, we are going to, or all of our images colored, pardon me, we're going to move on to building backgrounds and then tying it all together with some sentiment strips and embellishments. My favorite part is pulling all of the different components together. If you're ever feeling a little like you don't know exactly what you want to do as far as creating your card goes, consider trying making, like I did here, either a bunch of different embellishments and just coloring them in, and then you can figure out where you're going. You might even gain an idea or inspiration as you're coloring. Make a bunch of backgrounds. Same thing. I often will just break it down into smaller parts and pieces, and that will usually lend itself to how I want to create. On two 4 by 5¼ inch Neenah smooth white cardstock panels, I'm taking salvaged patina Distress Oxide ink and spraying my backgrounds. So for 2 of my card backgrounds, we're going to be using that intricate the intricate floral background, the outline that we colored in, as well as the solid foiled. And then for the other 2, I decided to do this salvaged patina. I purposely didn't cover the entire thing. I left it a little messy and sparse in a few areas. And while still damp, I'm going to take the geometric lattice embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp and run those through my die cutting machine. The slight dampness of the panel is going to give you a fantastic impression. It's not soaking wet. It's actually not going to leave hardly any ink on my embossing folder at all. Maybe, I think the second one I ran through maybe left a little. It is still damp, and you do want to set it aside to dry, but I love the texture. I love the inking. I love everything about it. It is a very quick way to add a colorful background. If you've got some distress inks or distress sprays or distress oxide sprays, I highly recommend giving it a try. You could even mix multiple colors if you wanted to. It just gives you a really, really fun background. I'm going to run the second background through my machine. Once I have both machines through, going to kind of play around with my images, make sure I like how everything looks. You can see I've kind of laid out what I think is going together. I need to color that extra butterfly. I do that off camera. At first I thought I'd use 1, and then I decided I'd go ahead and use 2. I do like to lay everything out ahead of time and give myself a really good idea of how it's all going to come together before I actually start assembling. So that's really what I'm working on now, especially when I didn't have a great idea to begin with of what direction I was going to go when I started. You'll also notice I showed you the sentiment strips. I used the sentiment labels dies from Simon Says Stamp to die cut these. You can trim them apart with your paper trimmer. I have mentioned this many times. I love the sentiment labels. I use them all the time because they just give you that perfect sentiment strip look. I've got a little wash in a plastic box now, white gouache in a plastic box. I'm going to water it down with a little bit of water, and I am going to tap droplets all over these 2 Distress Oxide sprayed backgrounds for even more distressing. I'm just kind of tapping this all over. Some splatters are bigger than others. I love this plastic box because it literally will just wash out so quickly and easily. No more messy cardboard box that I constantly am throwing away and then trying to find one out of my recycle bin. I love this plastic box, so I use it all the time. It's nice and shallow, and it kind of contains everything I need it to contain. Time to put it all together. I have some May Arts twine here. This is the lighter color twine. I'm going to tie it into a little bow that I'm going to secure to the bottom of the wreath using a little bit of liquid glue and some tweezers to help hold that in place. So the first card we are going to finish is the solid hot foil background. We are going to be placing our wreath on top of this and adding a couple of foiled butterflies. So tons of foiling on this card, but it really works. I decided some twine would kind of help with the wreath feeling of this. I am going to pop my wreath up with foam adhesive. I love foam adhesive. You guys, if you have been here for a while, you probably know I love foam adhesive. I use it on all of the things. I'm going to place foam adhesive all over the back of my wreath. I am going to avoid one little spot that will slightly hang off the wreath. I'm going to place it kind of down in the bottom part of my panel, shifted off to the right. I am not going to trim it off yet though, because this panel is smaller than A2 size. So once I place this on my white top fold card base, then I will trim anything that hangs off the edge. I'm going to place some foam adhesive strategically under the butterfly, only where the butterfly is not overlapping the wreath. If you move your butterfly or your embellishment after you have put adhesive on it and placed it down, it is going to remove the foil. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I forgot that I was working with foil. So you're going to see that I've peeled up some foil. Well, I'm going to have to be strategic in how I place my butterflies to hide the fact that I kept shifting those little boogers around. So all those little light spaces, I think I do end up hiding it. I switched my butterfly. This yellow butterfly is actually going to swap to the final card we create today. And I'm going to use another butterfly shape. I don't know, the other butterfly shape just fit this a little bit better. For my sentiment strips here, I did put adhesive only in the center of the strip where it doesn't overlap the wreath. So the ends don't have foam adhesive under them. I've positioned them right in the center. I think all of my cards, I ended up using 2 sentiment strips, one a little bit bigger font and then or size of font, and one a little bit smaller. For the most part, I like how that looks. And we will figure out our final butterfly. I'm going to switch him out with this guy. It just worked better. I've hidden the fact that I wasn't smart with my foam adhesive or my adhesive there, but we're going to hide all the little imperfections, I think. Kind of tuck it right there. And finally, we're going to finish our panel with a scattering of pretty Pink Posh blush pearls in our wreath, a little Trinity Stamps clay, I think that they're clay, heart in the center of the bow, and then I'm going to finish that with a little pearl gemstone as well. So now that I have my panel on my card, I can trim off the excess that's hanging off the right side there. I want to also make sure my sentiment strips are straight. A T-square ruler, the T-square ruler from Simon Says Stamp, is perfect for this. These Simon Says Stamp little triangle trays are my favorite. I talk about those quite a bit in my videos. They hold your little embellishments perfectly while you pop things in place. Once I put my heart in the center of my bow, to hold that in place while the glue dries, I'm going to use my reverse tweezers. They're my third hand basically when crafting. Next up, we are going to place our colored background on a white top fold card base. I am going to pop up my greetings with foam adhesive. And this is the simplest background basically that I'm sharing today. As far as the only extras we're adding are a foiled butterfly. This is one of the negative space butterflies, so I didn't color this one in. It's just the beautiful negative space, and 2 sentiment strips, and that's it. And it really doesn't need anything else. The beautiful floral background is the star of the show. We don't want to cover up too much of it. My T-square ruler made adding our sentiment strips an absolute snap. I love the little size of this. This is part of the Yay You release. Maybe. No, this is part of the last release. I'm so sorry. But I absolutely love it. I'm going to put a little pearl there. And those first 2 cards are all finished. So our backgrounds with the Distress Oxide ink, these are going to be the bigger florals. I do recommend maybe adding a little liquid glue. Because of the texture of the embossing folder, it does tend to want to pull up even when using a strong tape runner. This tape runner I use is really strong, but I do find that anytime I use an embossing folder like this with lots of texture, it doesn't want to stick really well. So a little liquid glue is good, acrylic blocks on top to help hold that down and hold it flat, and then simply foam adhesive and starting to build our florals. So this is going to be the big Peony Floral. I'm going to do 2 green large leaves. a butterfly, and 2 sentiment strips. Then we're going to add some pearl gems, some little, or a little heart, and that is going to be it. These foam adhesive strips I'm using are from Waffle Flower. They are great. I've mentioned these many times. They really work well for adding any little sentiment strip like this or making shakers. They're really super sticky. And I didn't get that lined up very well, so I'm going to just rearrange that. I'm going to add that little heart, and then of course, as I mentioned, we're going to add some little pearl gems all the way around, just kind of scattered. I will mention one thing I did for my butterflies, and I think I did it at the end, is I'm going to take a white jelly roll pen. Oh, I do add it here. And I'm going to add some detail, but I did go back to all the butterflies on all of the cards, and I just added a little white pen detail to the butterflies, and I think it adds so much to the finished design. Okay, our last card, we're going to put all of it together. I did kind of rearrange where I put the sentiment strips on this one. I'm going to shift those over to the left up at the top. We're going to lay down our flowers first. I just put foam adhesive in the center, and then we're going to tuck leaves all around. I'm going to use a combination of the solid foiled leaves as well as the foil outline with the Copic coloring. We're going to tuck our butterfly that I tried to use on the first card right there next to our flowers. Pop up the sentiments with foam adhesive just like before. And then we will finish with some pearls, hearts, all of that good stuff, adhering the foam or the sentiment strips with foam adhesive. So this is going to be celebrating you and wishing you a lifetime of love and happiness. And definitely there was a theme here. You could use any sort of sentiment strip. I do want to hit on that. I did mostly wedding type cards. That was one of the new sentiment strips that is available in the release, but any of these cards could be used for other occasions. Birthdays, anniversaries, sympathy, friendship, hello. There's any number of different occasions that you could use these cards for. I'm a really, really big fan of making something that could be used for multiple occasions. Okay, a little crystal lacquer in the center of the flowers, and my cards are all finished. Now, this is that white pin detail I was talking about that I'm going to go through really quick and add to the butterfly wings. This is my favorite white jelly roll pen. It's the Signo Uniball pen. And I think the little bit of white here just adds so much. If you have glossy accents or crystal lacquer on your card, be super careful, and it's still wet. Be super careful that you don't get your hand in it. And I'm just going to go around all of my little butterflies here and add those little dots. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this set of 4 foiled cards using brand new glimmer hot foil plates from Simon Says Stamp from the Yay You release, and coloring in the outline images with Copic markers. The supplies I used to create my cards today are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Simon Says Stamp Yay You products that you might be interested in. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. I would love to have you over there as a part of our community. Top tier Patreon members get an exclusive live each month, as well as early access to certain videos, and all of my Patreon members receive a birthday card from me during their birthday month. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.